welcome to the first edition of the Indoencers Podcast. Our guest today is known for leading his band Sanskruti, who was one of the headlining acts of the second season of Kappa TV's music Mojo, and for a number of brilliant independent compositions. He composed the likes of Arikamandayo, which was released by the ace director Gautam Vasudev Menon, Karakara, among others. In addition to all of this, he has also composed the background score for a number of short films. I am pleased to bring in Composer Sanjay on board for today's episode. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
So we'll just start off general. How are you doing? How are you dealing with this lockdown and these crazy times?
I'm good. As usual, it's going on, and quarantine is going through practice, books, movies, and some quality family time. It's going with that. And for musicians, quarantine is not new, right? So we are always in the studio. So
how's like recording taking place and things like that? Are you able to do that as normal?
No, nothing sort of that right now, because since we are locked down in the house, we can't go out and record, and none of them are coming to the studio, right? So so recordings are not happening. Just some basic works which can be handled through internet, like programming or some mixing stuff, that is happening. That too not in a very big scale, but in a very normal way it is happening.
Okay. I want to do this with every guest that comes on and take it right back to your childhood, to your musical beginnings. So just tell me about your earliest musical memories.
It goes back to my 5th standard probably. So I started I had this fascination towards keyboard from my childhood. I don't know how, but I always had this fascination. Then when I was in 5th grade, I told my parents that I want to learn keyboard. So they put me to a keyboard master who was staying in the neighborhood. So I went to his classes, and I was doing some basics of keyboard and nothing sort of Western classical or any specific genre. But yeah, I was learning the basics of the keyboard, and it continued for 1-2 years. Then I didn't continue the classes. I stopped the classes, and I was practicing in my home. I had a small keyboard with me, so I was practicing in my home, and I didn't take it that seriously that time. And after my 9th standard, I got very involved with that, and I started playing. I started practicing more, and I didn't know that time that I was composing tunes and all, because I used to play something and it sounded nice to me. So I didn't know the terms back then. So I was playing, and my first composition in the memory I have is from my 11th standard, where there was a math exhibition in our school, and they wanted to do something creative with the formulas and things. So few of my friends, they asked me you play keyboard, why don't you do a tune or something and make this thing little creative and catchy. So I sat with the keyboard and I came with some idea, and I told it to my friends. They really liked it. And in Yamaha keyboards, you have this pre-sampled rhythm and all. With that, I put on a rhythm myself, and and I started playing some tune, and that became in my class it became pretty popular, and teachers noticed it, and they wanted to play in the school function, and it got really popular, and people started looking at me in a different way. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm doing something creative. I don't know. So that's how it started. That's how the composition thing started. Then once a spark comes, then it leads you towards a path, right? So I started producing new tunes, and from college I came to this full time and become an independent musician.
Where did your production journey start? Because obviously that involves expertise with technology and digital audio workstations and all that. So where did that start?
During my college first year, what happened, I got to know about all these softwares. like how it works, and we need a system and all this thing. Back then in 2008, not every home had a system, and not internets and all was not available that big here. So what happened is, like, I started talking to a lot of my friends, like a lot of my friends who are already into this, and I started learning okay what it is. And like I got a system for myself, like a personal computer, so that I can start my little production. I started with FL Studio, basic version of it, and then slowly I moved to Cubase. Like, one of my friend, like, he was using Cubase, so he taught me how to do the basic programming and all. So like I went to Cubase. Then after that, some internet stuff, and after reading about all the DAWs, I started getting this fascination about Apple Mac products, because the sound and the performance of the computer is so good. So like I thought, okay, probably I'll shift it to Apple, and I started working in Logic Pro from 2012 probably. So that's how the production thing started, and it slowly grows in you, right? Like, once the moment you get a passion towards music, and like you wanted it to sound good, obviously. So that passion and those things took me forward in music production and all this software learning, all these things. Yes.
You talked earlier about how in your 11th standard you composed this tune and you played it with your friends. During your college days, were you getting involved in bands or any sort of musical groups?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we had a band named Seventh Octave in our early first year. We were doing some auditions in college. So when we entered our college, there was an audition which was going on for music club, dance club, all these different clubs. So we were giving auditions to that, and I met a couple of people who had similar interest in music and forming a band. And already there was a band which was there in college. We did couple of gigs with the college band, and then we started in our own, like we 3-4 people from my friends, we started a band. We performed in few colleges, and it was a good experience and a lot of learning, because different music altogether, right? So like different people, so it was a different experience. And then that band couldn't continue for some reasons, but yeah, like we had a very good time being in the band in college times.
Well, even if that band couldn't continue, you were leading a new band which came on Music Mojo called Sanskruti, yes, which produced some really amazing music, and we'll talk about that as we go on with this interview. But just talk to me, how was Sanskruti formed?
During 2012 2013, there is a friend of mine called Abhay. He's a pretty popular singer. He has sung few songs. So like we both were talking, like casually talking of forming a band, and I always wanted to have our own band, and so we both were talking about it. And like then we got this idea, like, why don't we form a band and start performing, and why don't we bring in different people and feature different artists. That was the idea behind Sanskruti. And we got many new musicians from different part of India, basically. And through different friends, like we got few contacts, and we started getting new musicians. We had percussion player from Uttarakhand, and a drummer from Delhi, and a guitarist from Assam. So it was a different kind of musician with different background. That's why we wanted to have the name Sanskruti, because Sanskruti means culture. So we got a lot of different cultures in our music band, like in Sanskruti. And Kappa TV happened instantly. So yeah, we started performing from then.
Did you actively approach Kappa TV for Music Mojo, or did they come to you?
No, actually what happened is one of my lead singer, Abhay, already performed with a different band.
With Staccato, probably?
Yeah, with Staccato,
okay.
yes, with Staccato. So with Staccato, he performed a gig in Kappa TV. And then when he came, like when we met, he wanted to have a personal, like a separate thing for us. Like he wanted to collaborate with me and do a whole show rather than, featuring just as a singer in a band. So like what happened, like we both sat and we formed the songs, and we had few rules and regulations for Kappa, so we wanted to follow that also. So like after that, the manager from Kappa called us, and they asked us, okay, like if you are ready with 12 set of songs, or like, like you can come and perform, you let me know when you are ready. And we took a time of 1.5 months. We planned things, we met regularly, and we were structuring it out to take this show forward. And we took it from there. And yeah, Kappa TV also approached us after that, and it's going on.
That's very cool. Obviously, you arranged and were leading this band. And I wanted to ask, when you arrange these pieces, how much of it do you script and write out? And how much of it do you leave to the musicians to improvise or figure out on their own?
Okay. Generally, when we were playing in the band, it is not a one-man show. It is definitely not a one-man show. Like they should probably change arranged by Sanskruti. They should not just just put my name in it, which will not be fair, because there were a lot of inputs from a lot of different musicians. And when we start a arrangement of a song, it is about collective ideas. Like we have a bass tune or something like that. And for example, if you take the A.R. Rahman's medley, or Ilayaraja's medley, like we fixed the song, and the chords and all were written, and then we slowly start playing in the music, and we start jamming on that. So gradually the arrangement forms gradually, and it is pretty not scripted on all. It is just with the flow, like how the musicians comes in. And sometimes like I might need a flavor to it, so I'll ask, like, if you can do this, do that kind of stuff. And the musician will have an input, like we should also listen to that, and probably take those inputs, and how to incorporate in that song and make the song sound best. That's all. It's not about the script, or it's not about who is arranging and all. It's just a collective idea, and it is coming on the platform, and it is rolling. That's all.
On the note of jamming, I need to ask you about Traffic Jam 11 by 8. It's a crazy song in a crazy time signature. Okay. How did that come about?
Traffic Jam 11 by 8 is my own composition. It is like we wanted to have 12 songs in Kappa TV. That's the slot practice they have, like performing 12 songs per band. So we had 11 songs, and all the songs had singers. So one song we wanted to have an instrumental, where instrument players can showcase their own talents, and because even they wanted a limelight. They wanted to have the focus on each of the instrumental players. So we thought, okay, this time there's no singers, we're going to go with the instruments alone. So like I came up with this idea of the tune in 11/8. I don't know how that happened. It's just the thought which came that time. I don't know how to explain that creation and all, but yeah. So it just occurred that moment I got the tune, and I told it to my band members, and they were also very much interested in that, and we slowly jammed on that, and it rolled up like that. It was not intentionally 11/8 and all. It was just the moment, something occurred in the mind, and it just came as 11/8, and we formed it, we arranged it, and I'm glad that people listen to it and liked it.
Even as I listen to it now, I struggle to count the beats because it's such an unusual but really cool time signature. Just looking at the sort of repertoire that you put together, obviously in every Music Mojo band, there will be a lot of bands who present mainly film music and Carnatic music. But in the case of Sanskruti, there were a few other genres presented as well. In the Amy Winehouse tribute, there was a sort of jazzish feel. And then in the Fusion of Fates performance, you had traditional pieces from what seemed like Muslim traditions and Christian traditions, as well as Boshambo. Where do your influences in terms of these different forms of music come from? Is it from the musicians that you bring in, or is it from people that you listen to?
Yeah, in regarding tribute to Amy Winehouse, that was the time Amy Winehouse passed away, and we all have listened to her works, and we were all a big fan of her. So we wanted to give a tribute to her, and we had a singer who can, sing English genre or like a pop music or some jazz in a very good way. So we wanted to, give a tribute to her, because from our childhood we always had like listened to her works, and we were always a big fan of her. So yeah, we want to do that. And in regarding fusion of faith, it was my own composition. I had this idea of bringing in all the different sounds of a religion, and each religion and each has a beautiful culture to themselves, and they have different kinds of music to themselves. Like for example, in Islam you can take Sufi or Arabic genre or something like that. It is very groovy, and like I really like those things, and I like the gospels and operas too. So like every religion and every section has this beautiful diversity, and also at the same point of time I really liked the concept of bringing in all those things. Like I really wanted to do that. So again, when that idea came to me, and I told my band members again, and they were also pretty interested. And yeah, it also comes from the musicians, because only when you have that kind of a musician who can pull that off on a stage, or you can pull that off in the song, you can do that. Otherwise you can't randomly choose a singer who is not into that genre and who doesn't even have heard about Amy Winehouse. They can't sing that genre that easily, So someone who is already known, or who is already into that zone, and if she or he can pull that song on the stage, and why not, you can try to collectively bring different genres on stage. And it is also from the musicians. It is definitely also from the musicians.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Carnatic song that you brought in, Poshambo, and throughout your performances you have covers and recreations of existing songs, whether it's the songs in Charukesi, Ahista, Udaya, and Yedo, whether it's the Ilayaraja songs. You have many recreations. Nowadays, recently there's been a lot of controversy about recreations and remixes, particularly in the Hindi industry, and how sometimes the remixes ruin the integrity of the original composition. So when you do your remixes, not only in Sanskruti, but also in your own channel with Yangapon Rasa and your own Rahman medley, how do you find the balance between being unique while maintaining the integrity of the original composition?
Regarding the covers, I'm actually not very much interested in doing covers basically. But few songs, like few songs really interest you to to some sort of covers. And because why I'm not interested in covers is because there are a lot of masterpieces you just can't recreate it, because I just believe in that. Because if a song comes and if it goes so big, or like if it sounds so good, you just need to leave it as it is. It is better not to touch it. That is my ideology, because I can definitely, like, I have this ideology of I can't definitely do that justice to that song. When it comes to Enga Ponaraza, I was so fascinated about the simple melody writing and things, and one of my friend wanted to do a cover that time. So like I thought, look, I don't want to ruin any of it. I'll just make it very plain and I'll just play the piano, that's all. And she was pretty interested in doing that song, so I just helped her out. And another A.R. Rahman cover also, it was just started as a fun element, she was my Janani SP was the singer, and she was my bandmate again from Sanskruti. So like one day we were just jamming on 2-3 songs, and she came up with this idea of Tu Bin Batai, which was a fantastic song. And Rehna Tu, obviously, like we all know, we all loved that genre and all that style. So she came with this idea. Like I told her, like, I'm not in covers, but I'll just try to make it very minimal, and I don't want to spoil any of it. So we just made it as fun, and we just gave it out. That's all. Because when it comes to covers or remixes, I'm not in for it, because I can definitely not recreate any of the masterpieces. I don't want to disturb any of them. And I have this in mind that like even if I'm doing a cover of any song, if there is a circumstances for me to do, I'll try to maintain the sanity of that song.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. We mentioned a couple of your covers and the fact that you covered Carnatic compositions. I'm curious because a lot of the songs that you did are in very complex ragas. Hai Rama in Puriya Dhanashri, the Charukesi medley, and they don't fall necessarily cleanly into any Western chord or mode. So I'm curious, when you take these classical based compositions and try to apply them into Western contexts, how exactly do you do that?
it is, again, it is not intentional. We just we love those rags,
Mm.
like when we listen to Herama, the already the song is very complex. We didn't want to go deeper into that, and spoil the song. So we wanted it a pretty simple arrangement. And regarding the chords and all, see, it is just be it Western or be it Indian classical,
Mm.
it is just different names. I believe in that, because it is
Mm.
just different chords or modes, rags, or different names, but it is just 12 notes, and what you play, what kind of an emotion you create from that 12 notes, that's all matters, because there is nothing more than a 12 note.
Mm.
Right. So so it is just 12 notes, and you play with those 12 notes, and you create a sense of emotion to the audience. And when we were working on those medleys, again, it was a choice of the singers also, because
Mm.
our singers wanted to sing those kind of songs. They didn't want to sing any simple song. They wanted some complex thing to show their talent.
Yeah.
So like I was pretty happy with it, because I also like Charukesi and all the rag based songs. Like if you listen to most of my songs, I get slightly inclined towards the classical in most of
Yeah.
my compositions, and nothing is actually intentional. Like, and we don't plan anything as such. Like in terms of, like, in my honest opinion, like I don't personally plan anything or intentionally do anything. It just comes natural. And when we play a song, like it does, yeah, sometimes when you do a song in few rags, you can't go more than 2-3 chords. It
Mm.
doesn't sync well with it. But yeah, it's not about the chords, or it's not about the complexity of anything. It's not
Mm.
like it's not theoretical, no, when it comes to music. Of course the theory is much more needed, but yeah, when it comes to the music making, it's not like we don't have to concentrate more on the theories, or
Mm.
how the modes, how the rag will fall, that and all. It's just, if you can create an emotion, that's all. And like I believe in keeping it pretty natural. That's all. Whatever comes to me at that moment, and whatever happens in that song with the collective musicians, we have always trusted in that. That's all.
You talk about putting emotion at the forefront, and I sort of want to bring that into one of your original compositions, which you presented as part of Sanskruti, E Dile Ashikito. It's a beautiful ghazal style song sung by Abhay Jodhparkar and Bhavya Pandit. Um, when you uh, so when you composed that, did you start off with a sort of target emotion, or did you start off with a melodic idea? How did that come about?
Yeah, when I did Aidil Ashik, I think so it was back then in 2012.
Hmm.
I had this basic idea whenever I sit on a piano or a harmonium. I believe that song was composed in harmonium, because back then I didn't have a piano. So yeah, like I was sitting with a harmonium, and I was playing few notes of Malhar or Darbari,
Hmm.
something like that. So I was just playing few notes, and this idea came. A melody came to my mind, and like I started playing it. I started recording it in a voice recorder,
Hmm.
and I kept it. That's all. I didn't work on it for the next 2-3 months. I didn't work on it because I was not very confident of doing that song, because it was actually not a very catchy
Hmm.
element. So I didn't listen to it for like 1-2 months after composing the track. It was actually a pretty long track. It was more than 15-16 minutes actually.
Oh,
So yeah, so like I just left it with the idea, and one day again, when me and Abhay met, so I played him this tune. Like I told him that I have this idea. Like just listen to it and let me know what do you think about it. He was like, "Oh, this sounds like a ghazal to me." Like I was like, "Oh, really?" Because I was not intentionally composing a ghazal actually.
mm,
I did the melody writing. That's all. And he had a friend named Mohak. He came with a beautiful set of lyrics. He has also written like 4 or 5 pages of lyrics for this entire tune. It was actually a big song. So then we chopped off. Okay, this is not needed. This is okay. Like we sat and we chopped off and we framed a whole song pattern. And Abhay has sung the track, and still it was not that much. I didn't go out and do it in a commercial space, or I didn't release it much in a bigger way. So I just kept it as it is. And when we were doing Kappa again, uh, we got an idea. Okay, like why don't like I was thinking, why don't I do Eidile Ashiki? Like we had Bhavya, is phenomenal in her singing. She's from Mumbai, so like we roped her, and uh, Abhay was there. So I thought, okay, why not? They both have a duet on a ghazal, and let's just do this song. And again, my band was very supportive to me for accepting whatever thing which came to my mind. And I just told them, and they were ready, and they were all into that. And that's how Eidile Ashiki formed, and we performed it in Kappa. And I think so. It's going pretty good in YouTube. I guess people liking it.
you said you recorded it into a voice memo. I was listening to one of Aniruddha Ravichandra's interviews a few weeks back, and he said he constantly keeps a habit of recording ideas into his iPhone with voice memos, and he has 500, 600 ideas on there. Is that a sort of habit that you keep as well?
It's not like an habit now. See, a creative being in a creative field, we don't have a fixed time to compose and all,
Right.
basically. So we will not sit like, okay, now I'm going to compose, so nothing comes in your mind, so you go dry. So like generally we when we are driving, or when you see a beautiful place, or you get inspired from anything, and at any time you can get inspired. Like sometimes I'll be in, like I'll be about to sleep, I'll be reading some books or something, like some phrase can give me some inspiration, and some thought will come. So that time you can't just go to the studio and start working on the song. So you might forget it in the next moment. So nowadays we have this beautiful technologies around us, where you can just take your phone and voice record and keep the idea. Then you can build it from that idea, because the idea matters a lot. Like sometimes you'll be driving in a bike, and some thought can come to your mind, and like it has happened a lot of times to me. Like I'll be driving car, or I'll be driving in a bike, some idea comes to my mind, I'll just park it in the corner of the road, and I'll take my phone, I'll hum, or I'll sing, or I'll tell a word, or even I'll tell this moment, like I wanted to recreate this idea, like something like this. Like I tell that, and I keep it. Then sometime later, when you sit on it and when you listen to it one by one, like few ideas you might like it, few ideas you might not like it, and some ideas which will inspire you again and again. So those ideas I'll just take it from the memos, and I'll start working on it. And not all the time we sit with the voice memos. Sometimes it comes in piano also. Sometimes we do it in harmonium also. And these voice memos, all technologies which is helpful for us to keep our idea in a stored place. We don't need to because we always have our phones in our hand, so we don't need to get a new voice recorder gadget for this. We have it in our phone. Immediately when there is an idea, we just instantly record it and keep it. Later we will build from that idea. That's how I think so. Even Anirudh would have mentioned it that way only.
Okay. I just want to ask one last question about Sanskruti before I get into your original independent work. Sanskruti is obviously a band which has performed a number of live shows as well, on top of your Music Mojo appearance. How does your interpretation of a song, or how does your performing style vary from performing in a studio to performing live in front of an audience?
Live is an entirely different experience because I was not a live performance guy. I was always a studio musician. Like I was not much into live performances. When I went to live stage, it was totally different experiences. There, it is not too much about the musicianship. When you sit in a studio, it is a lot about musicianship, like how, like what kind of a chord you're gonna use for a song, or like how pitch perfect they are gonna sing, how all these things in recordings. But in live, yeah, in live also we do expect a pitch perfect and all the things, but it is more of an entertainment. When there is a thousands of people in front of you, you don't mind, like doing little mistakes happens in stage and live, and it is fun. Like live is a totally fun element, and like you go there and play for the people. And I remember once we did a show in Delhi, and we were playing one song for 20 minutes. I don't know why. Like we were playing one song for 20 minutes continuously. We were playing that song because the crowd went crazy, and they really enjoyed it. And even we were on our top of our excitement, and we started playing those songs, and it was fun. Live is totally different, and when a studio musician like me go perform live, it is totally different for me. And initially I was expecting a lot of things in live, and later on I understood, okay, live has to be sounding live. Like I don't want it to sound much recorded, or too perfect. Or sometimes it's okay to do some mistakes in the live, and it is fun. Life is totally fun.
I was listening to Sid Sriram speak earlier, a few weeks ago again, and he was talking about how the imperfection can actually add to the performance and sort of add a human element to that. Would you agree with that?
Imperfections, yes. See,
in live at least,
not every singer can sing pitch perfect on stage, and like it's okay to do few mistakes. At the end of the day, how the audience enjoy, that's all. Because not everyone is going to know whether there is a off note, or whether there is a wrong chord can be played by the keyboard player, or anything can happen at the live, because you're just performing it live and you can't do retakes in that. So some mistakes can happen, and we are not a machine, right? So we can't perform with certain like exact thing. So we do human errors always happens, and it is okay. At the end of the day, if the audience are enjoying, if they are satisfied with what you're giving, and at the same point of time, I think so a lot of singers are very they take the responsibility of being good at the stage, and entertaining the audience. And for example, Sid Sriram, he's doing fantastic in the live, and few imperfections is okay. Like according to me, it's okay. It's not a big issue. But yeah, you can't make big mistakes, and you don't need, that is not acceptable. But yeah, few slight mistakes, like a off note, or or a wrong chord at times, it's okay. It's totally fine, not a problem.
Okay, I want to transition from your band onto your independent compositions, and I just want to take it general to start off with. And I listen to people talking about just modern music in general, and I hear a lot of people say, oh, it's too noisy, or too loud, too many layers, or something like that. And they say that sometimes vocals can get drowned out, or something like that. When you compose, arrange, and produce, how do you find that right balance between having a depth in your sound while not making it too noisy? Like if I were to give an example, like the ending of Kara Kara, it's very dense, but it doesn't sound noisy. Like how do you find that balance?
Since you mentioned Kara Kara, I'll just start with Kara Kara. And yeah, regarding the first thing, I don't generally I'm not from a book of thought like this modern music is loud. It's not exactly like that. Like maybe few songs, the mixing pattern, or the programming or arrangement way, it can sound a little louder. but not all the songs. There are some beautiful songs which is coming in modern music also. So like yeah, when it comes to Kara Kara, when I was working on Kara Kara, I think so I had this basic structure, then I was programming it. And basically I am a very soft listener. I am not a very loud person. Like I don't listen to very loud music. Like even if I'm listening to a metal, I don't blare my speakers. I just keep the volumes little less, and listen to those different genres. Yeah. So like I think so it is more from my view, that like I went with a softer sound. And even Kara Kara is a song. It's a simple melody, and towards the end, I wanted to have some jam sessions with the singer. So the singer came up with this beautiful idea, and I wanted to incorporate in this song. And Jasraj just sung that song. So he made few things sounds very light, and I didn't want to, I didn't want the music to overdo anywhere. And as I told you earlier itself, I prefer things to come in a very natural way. Like I don't force anything, or I don't intentionally do anything. Like I just make it natural. I wanted to even my music also, I wanted to happen in a very natural way. I don't force myself to do a song which is sounding loud or something, because that is not my natural way. Because I personally, being a very soft listener, I myself might not enjoy my own song sounding very loud. So like I want the arrangements and the frequencies should not disturb one another. So like while programming itself, we make a little we put a little thought in mind. Okay, if I'm adding this tone, will the frequency clashes, or will the listener get disturbed by this? Because you are doing an arrangement for the song. So when you're doing an arrangement for the song, a melody, exactly. So when you're doing an arrangement to a melody, you should not overdo it, or you should not that is not a place to show off this thing, that thing. So it is, things has to go natural in the making. And that's how the Kara Kara was done. And for not sound right, find the right balance and all, I don't know. Like I think so it is natural to me that I'm not a very loud listener, so that's why it is.
So when you have like denser textures, when you're mixing the track, do you generally pan it to the sides or pan it through the center? How do you?
There is no rules. There is no rules and regulations to that. That's what it just goes with the flow. Like once you dive in it, it takes you to a way, it guides you in a way. Like in Kara Kara, I think so after he did the final alap, like he would have done some alap in the end. So after the final alap, like I had more instruments over there, so I had to remove few instruments and give a space to the vocals. Because like if I would have kept those instruments also, I had some raw guitars and all, I wanted to remove it. And because I wanted to give a space to that vocals, because easily a guitar can override the melody, like vocals, and it can sound jarring. So I didn't want that to happen, so I had to remove few layers out of the songs. And it generally happens to me, like in sometimes, like I change the scale according to the singer. Because if a musician can add a value to that melody, like I'm ready to go in that path and try to explore what else can be done in that melody. That's all.
Okay. And in Kara Kara, obviously there's a music video. What was the sort of process in syncing the song with the video? Did you come up with the video idea first and then arrange the song in accordance with the video, or the other way around?
No, it was just a musical idea, and it was just a single song we do. And I just made the single song. And what happened is it was there in my system for 2 years. I didn't use it anywhere actually. So I didn't use it anywhere. I used to show it to my friends. They really liked it. And like one day I was thinking, rather than making a studio feel, which I have done couple of times, I did a studio feel type of video. And nowadays it's not just audio alone doesn't work, right? To reach majority of the people, sometimes YouTube is a very good platform where you post a song, and if the song has a video also, it can have a better reach. So like after doing that song, I was having an idea of a video. It was an entirely different idea from what it is in the YouTube now. Like it was a different idea. So we couldn't do it because of the budget issues, because making videos takes a lot of budget and production, and you need a proper team for that. Otherwise it's going to be very tough to pull off a very good video. So I had a few of my friends. I told my friends, so we just came up with the simple idea, and even the actors are our friends. We didn't go much outside. So the actors and the technicians all are my friends. So we were just working on it, and it is a very simple script. It is nothing more than a love story. That's so we wanted to make it very simple, and from what we had that time, from what budget we had, we could do this. That's all. Yeah, that's how the video formed for Kara Kara.
When I listen to your music, one part that really stands out for me are your interludes. So in between the Pallavi and the Charnam, for example. And, for example, the second interlude in Pennilavin Saligalil with the mallet and the bass, like it's such a change, because the general melody is very calm. And then suddenly you have this intense, fast driving interlude. What's your sort of thought process when you're composing interludes? I know you said a lot of it comes natural, and that may be the same here. But yeah.
When I was doing When 11, what I do is, while writing the melody of the tune, of the song, I make it a little longer. Like that's how it is for me. Like it has always happened like that. Like I used to constantly sing something, hum something, and play and keep it. Sometimes like this, in case of When 11, maybe that interlude could have been in Charanam also. So that might be a continuation of Charanam. I would have chopped it, and made it as a BGM. But I think so when I was doing When 11, exactly in that part, like I was playing the mallet type of thing in keyboard, and I kept it. And I think so Naveen Napier played bass on top of it. He played some slap bass on it, so it gave a new flavor. Then I started adding few chords and things to that. So maybe that is why it standard out, because it was coming very natural, and maybe it would have been a part of a Charanam, and I would have chopped off and cut it in the BGM. I didn't really know how to explain how the creative process happens to me, because as I told you earlier itself, nothing is actually intentional with me. I just keep myself pretty open, and it just comes naturally. That's all.
You talked about how your compositions are generally long and you chop it up. And Rahman sir sort of says the same thing as well when he talked about the making of Kara Takara, for example, from OK Kanmani. He said, the actual song was 18 minutes or 15 minutes or something, and then he chopped it up to 5.5. Is that a sort of regular habit with you as well?
It's not a kind of habit. Like when you sit with a composition, when you sit for a composition, when you start with an idea, and for example, if I'm sitting in a piano, I'll keep my voice recorder on and I'll start playing. So it is not like you can't keep a timer, right? At 5 minutes, you need to stop. You can't keep a timer for that, after 5 minutes, okay, creativity should stop. You can't do that. You just go in a flow. you just go in a flow, you sing, and like you play, you constantly play, and you go deeper into that. And the moment you realize, okay, then there'll be a moment where you are getting dry.
Mm.
Get it? Like the creativity will stop in a place where it stops and where it repeats again.
Mm.
So that moment I'll stop. Sometimes it can stop in 7 minutes, sometimes it can stop in 11 minutes. I can't, it is not you can't predict that how those things. Maybe even Rahman sir would have uh, thought about that way only, because you can't fix a time and sit for a composition. That's what I believe. It's not like, okay, I'm going to do a 2 minute song, okay, I'll play and stop at 2 minutes. I can't I can't do that.
Right.
Probably you go with the flow and you create an idea, then you can chop it off anytime. Like whatever portion sounds interesting to you, you can retain. Few portions you can leave it, just like that. But you don't need for that you don't have to stop in between, with the time set. Maybe that's how like it is for me. And maybe for Rahman sir, being a genius, uh, he can't stop his creativity. So like no wonder he is composing for 18, 19. He can go for 30 minutes also. So yeah.
Yeah, and you talk about how composing is a creative process. And obviously, every artist will have those moments where the creativity dries out. Have you had any specific moment over an extended period of time where you were like, I don't have any ideas?
It happens with everyone. Obviously. Like I won't call it as a dry moment. Like I would just maybe some, you need to maybe I need to explore more things, or I need to learn more things. Because when you keep on doing the same thing, you might get stagnated.
Mm.
When you don't learn anything, or when you don't get inspired from anything, or when you don't explore anything new, you might get stagnated. And I think so. Fortunately, like I've not crossed that area, because like I always try to seek something out of, like I read some books, or I travel. Like I wanted to explore different kinds of music. And till now I think so there was never a dry moment to me in terms of creativity. uh, it's just blessings, probably, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some of your compositions are sort of in the semi-classical space, if I would be correct in saying so. Um, I was just wondering whether you've received like formal classical education or whether you sort of self-learned all that.
Actually, no, I didn't have a very formal classes in Carnatic. I didn't have a formal classes. Um, but coming from a South Indian, home, like a family,
Mm.
coming from a South Indian family, like we always had this habit of playing Carnatic songs in home from my childhood.
Mm.
Like I think so more of I have heard more of Carnatic songs than a film songs. Like I would tell that, because in my home, like even today, like we start the day with MS Subbulakshmi and the songs, and it constantly plays in the radio, or it constantly plays in TV, or some or the other medium.
Mm.
So from my childhood it was always like that. It was I have heard tons and tons of Carnatic music songs from my childhood. In my childhood, I was not actually that interested in Carnatic, actually, till my probably till my 6th or 7th. My sister used to go to Carnatic classes. Whenever she sings, I used to mock her. Like I used to, like pull her leg, doing the signs which they do in Carnatic singing. Then what happened? Like you get like something has to spark in you to go into that. And fortunately I listened to MS Subbulakshmi, or GN Balasubramaniam, GNB. And those legends, I started listening to them, and I found, okay, this is something else. Like uh, I was thinking, like oh, we must start listening to it. Then automatically I started when there is a seeking, there is a teacher in front of you. That's what I believe in. When you seek something, teacher will appear in front of you. So my teacher was just internet.
Oh.
So like once I started getting internet in my home, I started listening to a lot of Carnatic music from M.S. Subbulakshmi, GNB, Maharajapuram Santanam, or Chemmangudi, or like all these legends. The way they sing and the musicianship they had is phenomenal, like tremendous. Like so after a point of time, like I like some one part of me got involved into that, probably in my creativity. I don't really sit with any rag and compose. Like a tune which comes to me, it comes to me in a Carnatic way. I don't know how it is seriously. And and one important thing is, in my family, my grandfather's family, like my grandfather's sisters, they were all amazing singing artists. They were Carnatic musicians, and my grandfather used to be with GNB.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so maybe those genes have come like I don't know, like probably that's why I'm a little more inclined towards Carnatic. And the major reason is, as I told you, from my childhood I've always listened to Carnatic songs more than any kind of genres. Like maybe uh, if I listen to 50 Carnatic songs, I would have listened to 4 film songs. This should be the ratio. That's how it is in my home. So yeah.
You talk about Carnatic. Were you sort of assimilating yourself with Hindustani as well, or more towards Carnatic?
Again, it's an interest and seeking. When I was listening to Carnatic, like I was. It is also because of you meet musicians. Like I met few people who are into Hindustani music, and when they sung, I was so fascinated. I was like, oh, this is something new again. Like so, like whenever you, like I'm in a phase where things are very new to me. Like a lot of things. So I love to explore those things, and I get so excited regarding those. So when I met a Hindustani singer, he sounded so beautiful, and the whole technique is different. See, even the notes are similar, maybe the rag names are slightly different, but the singing pattern is a very different way of singing pattern. So the moment I heard those songs, I wanted to go again and check in internet, like, okay, what is this, okay, what are the artists in Hindustani. Then I started listening to them. Then when you try to incorporate few elements, it gets into you, right? So like intentionally, as I told you, intentionally that doesn't happen. Because like for example, why I'm mentioning this again and again, because like if you tell me to do a jazz composition right away, probably I can't do it, because jazz is not something which is natural to me. Like I am very new to it. I've recently started jazz. So what happened in Hindustani or semi-Carnatic music, which in my composition, how I started incorporating is, I started getting into that zone completely. Like I used to constantly listen to only that. So you sort of adapt to that kind of genre, and so it naturally comes to you. Like even when you sing or even when you hum, things comes naturally, matters a lot. So that's how my compositions are sounding pretty Carnatic, and it has a lot of influence from Carnatic music.
I mean, obviously your compositions are brilliant, and yeah, I love your music, and that's why I wanted to interview you. But if you look at, for example, YouTube view counts, they are slightly low given the quality of your music. Does that bother you in any way?
Initial days, yes. Initial days, I was thinking maybe like it was. I was thinking for like from my side, I didn't want to complain anybody telling, oh, okay, my song is not reached. Like I'm not from that school of thoughts again. So so like initially it bothered me. Like I was thinking probably I didn't promote it in a better way, or probably I didn't uh, uh, showcase it in a better way. Probably I was thinking that. Then later on, I don't know, like I was not thinking much about the views, because the more you start, you know the more you go deeper into the music, I think so it is not more about the reach and other stuff. It is about like I wanted to do my thing sincerely, and like when people like it, they will obviously follow it. And regarding the YouTube counts and all, it depends on a lot of things. It just doesn't depend only on the quality of music or anything. Video matters, and people look for known faces, and I'm not yet popular. So like people will not know me, right? People will not know, okay, there is this guy called Sanjay, he is doing music. No, people will not know. So slowly, like you start giving content, like I believe in that. I'll start giving good content, like I'll try to do my best sincerely what I can do. And audience followers, it is just a matter of time. Sometimes it works out in a overnight, sometimes it's like it doesn't work out. So that doesn't bother me now, but initial days, yes, I have to be honest.
Well, you're an independent artist, and over the past number of years, particularly probably past 5-10 years, we've seen a lot of independent artists coming from South India. And whereas, if you go back, almost all of South Indian music was coming from film. Now we're seeing a much stronger independent industry with artists like you. How do you think that changes South Indian music as a whole?
It is changed a lot, and I think so it is for good. I believe that, because there are a lot of independent composers who are doing amazing stuff, like amazing beautiful songs. And few songs are also, like few composers, independent composers, also coming into films, which is again good. And see, when it comes to not only in South India, when it comes to in India, it is more of film oriented music has always been on top. Like independent music, it is slowly growing, and we are glad that we are at the right time where things are getting different, because see, it is basically because of the access. When it comes to India, like be it Spotify or be it internet, everything came pretty late when it comes to when it compares with other countries. So like here, the only medium we had was through cinema, radio, like TV and cinema. So cinema had a lot of songs, so independent albums were very less. So now there is a lot of different platforms. See, probably if you have to do an independent song in 1980s, how will you release it? You don't have any platform to release it other than All India Radio, right? So but in Western countries, that time they had different platforms, they had VCRs, they had all I think so a lot of different things were there in radios and all. But here it was pretty late. So and here, when things started slowly coming, the music started changing, the technology, like we were recording it in analog consoles and things, and now it has become software, all digital. And it is pretty good. It is definitely a positive sign. And like now we have a technology where you can take 100 takes to produce a good music. You don't need just one take and screw the whole song. So like now yeah, it is kind of slightly making us little, the standard, maybe we are compromising a little on the standard. But yeah, we are trying to give a better sound to the people, better experience to the people. And now we have this different platforms, like Spotify or iTunes or YouTube, all these things where anybody can post, anybody can do a song and post it and reach the globe, and it is in one touch. So we are at the right time of the change, and I feel it is very, very positive to go about it. And it is going pretty good. Like I'm very happy about it. I'm glad that I'm at the right time.
Okay, we've gone on for quite a while. Time has flown by. I'll just start to ask a few final questions to wrap up this interview. So, what are your future projects? What are you working on right now? What are you looking to release?
I'm working on a song. Like I'm working on a couple of songs. In like one is the devotional track. So I'm working on a devotional track, which is I don't know how I'm gonna do that and how I'm gonna I had the basic tune, I had the lyric ready, everything is ready. Once this lockdown gets revoked, I'll start recording few things regarding that. And another song which I'm planning for a little series, like 2 3 4 songs, you know combined in a video. I'm planning for that, and again it needs a lot of production and time. So I'm spending much time in that, and I'm also working on a couple of film scratches right now. So some new movie stuff is happening, so like I'm also working towards it. Let's see, like I don't know. Probably.
Well, just talking about potential songs, your independent compositions so far have mostly been in the sort of melody, semi-classical zone. I was listening to your background score in your short film Yugam, and that had a very EDM, trappish feel to it. Is that something you'd like to explore in a full-fledged song?
It is mostly depends on it depends on the short film, or like the film which you work on, because when I was doing a re-recording for Yugam, I can't do a Carnatic song. There is no space for it. Like, probably I wanted to get into that zone of that film. So like I was doing what that story required, what that visuals required. That's what it is. Like I am trying to explore different music genres, and I would love to do different genres altogether. So yeah, it is basically done according to the movie. Like if you listen to one of my short films which I did like some 7-8 years back, it would be totally psychedelic and metal, that pattern. Yeah, because that story needed that story needed that kind of an emotion. That's why we do those genres. Like when it comes to independent, it is just your emotion, your feel. Like I don't feel psychedelic all the time. I don't feel trapped. So I do more of semi-classical and melody writing more. But yeah, I would like to explore all kinds of genres.
Okay, and my final question, I want to end any interview I do with this question. What's on your playlist right now?
My playlist is Max Richter, Oliver Arnolds. He's a I think he's an Ireland-based musician. I'm a very big fan of him. Like his production is so beautiful. As I told you, Max Richter is another orchestral composer. He's phenomenal, and I really like Radiohead. I follow Radiohead, and in Indian musicians, Kaushik Chakrabarti is one of my favorite. I listen to T.M. Krishna, A.R. Rahman sir, obviously in film music, Ilaiyaraaja sir. So these are my playlists right now.
All right. I think we'll finish off there. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for any listeners that tuned in. Make sure to go and check out Sanjay's music and his social media, which I'll put in the description below. And thank you very much, Sanjay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, that was Composer Sanjay on our very first episode of the Indoencers Podcast. You can find us at the Indoencers, spelled THEINDOENCERS, on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or you can use the links in the description. Likewise, you can find our homepage at theindoencers.wordpress.com, with WordPress.com being spelled as WORDPRESS.com, or you can find that link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the Indoencers Podcast on your favorite podcasting platform. Thank you once again, and I'll see you next time.